Hello there, welcome back to some more something different entirely. It's been a while since I put a video out about the game I'm making, Willy's Revenge 2. I'm in the Unity screen, as you can see. I'm going to do a whole playthrough of the whole game, but just beating levels, mainly to gauge for myself how long it would take the average person to just beat the levels in the game. Something I should note before we start is that basically all the art is still almost certainly going to be changed. Probably bits and pieces of the sound of the music still need to be changed. It's more complete than it was last time I showed it, but only little small things. Animations are not finished properly, but the game will work from start to finish. So I can do all the levels and show you everything in the game. It's just, yeah, the level design will mostly stay the same. So the way the levels are constructed will mostly stay the same, but the way they look might be different. So without further ado, I'm going to press play, and then I'm going to zoom into this little screen section here where the game is actually played. So we'll do that. I could build the game, but it's much faster in the editor than it is in the build because there's less to do. So I'm going to sort that out. I give it myself some time to load because in the build, the game has that, in windowed mode, it has that thing where it says it's not responding. It is responding, it's just doing different things. So it looks like it's not. Anyway, I'm going to click go, and we're going to go. So hopefully there'll be audio and stuff you can hear. There we go. Perfect. Right. Like I said, everything's subject to change, but a lot of the music will stay the same. I'm only capable of making things on my own because I'm basically doing it all on my own, and my friend Lex, at CryomancerLex, if you want to follow him on Twitter or whatever, is doing a lot of the art for me because he's much more artistically talented and talented in general than I am. Right, so also subject to change are these map things. This is just a proof of concept. The UI and stuff is going to change as well, but yeah, just prefacing it. If trying to let myself get away with things if it's not very good, then you're like, well, it's not going to be like this forever. This is probably the most artistically complete. You see there's like cut off on the bushes and stuff. That's just because it's not done yet, like I said. And I'm also not bothering with any of the extra stuff. I'm just going to the next level and doing things as I see fit. So what is the game? The game is essentially, as you can tell, it's like Snake, except first of all I can go over my own tail. That's relevant. Very relevant for some of the puzzles that would essentially be impossible if you couldn't do that. And it makes the game easier. You can't hit walls though. Enemies and walls. I was going for the golden pellet, then I don't need to. Yeah, so you can see there's a bit more to it than there was before. There's like foreground stuff now. One of the main things I've changed is there's foreground stuff. What I don't want, and I've been very careful about, I don't mind obstructing the player's vision, but I don't want that to be the reason you die. So I've made it very clear that when you go behind something, it turns transparent so you don't get lost, These UI things are more complete than they were before, but they are still not completely done. A lot of these textures are just took offline without crediting anyone, so I can't use them in real life. So there'll be actual art that Lex makes at some point, but for now, I just made them in Photoshop in about 10 minutes. Yeah, so a lot of the levels are just about giving you the vibe of what I'm going for. So this is the toy block forest. You can see all these blocks are made out of toy blocks. And there's obviously forest and ground and stuff as we're going along. This is the first enemy. It's running Roger. He just goes from left to right. That's all he does. He just goes from left to right and then back again. It's sort of aping the very early 80s home computer sort of games. They're really not complicated. They're not supposed to be complicated. You have 4 buttons you can press. You can go left, up, right, and down, and that's it. You don't have an attack. You don't have anything special. The game is very simple. So that, anyone of any age could play it, in theory. I got the golden pellet. I'm going to get more completion than I meant to, but that's fine. Actually, fully cleared that level. Good for me. Okay, yeah, so as you can see, foreground stuff. This one, I didn't blur out because there's nothing there. I made very careful to not put anything behind the barriers that you need to be aware of, so there is nothing going on. And you see those little blue guys, and you're like, oh, what's with those blue guys? They are an enemy that will be introduced in a minute, but you can see which direction they're moving. That will give you a hint as to what they do. Right, so I'm going to go over here. Yeah, so I didn't put anything behind these little gangplanks at the top of the screen in the foreground, because there's nothing there. Right, so these guys are Barry, bouncing Barry, and what Barry does is he bounces up and down. So as Roger goes left to right, Barry goes up and down. And that's what they do. So they're like little squid aliens, and they go up and down. The levels are getting more complex, but what I call it a design philosophy as if I have any idea what the fuck I'm doing. But the general premise is that I am going to like each world has its own difficulty curve. So you start, maybe the last level of World 1 is harder than the first level of World 2, that kind of thing. But each difficulty curve is getting slightly more difficult as we go along. So the difficulty floor is going up slowly, and the difficulty ceiling is going up slowly, but it resets every world. So maybe, let's say out of 10, if this level ends at like a 4, I died in the goop. Yeah, if this level ends at like a 4, then, or the world ends at a 4, then maybe the next world will start at a 2 but end at a 5, that kind of thing. And we'll keep going until eventually by world 10 it's ending at a 10. In theory, obviously difficulty curves are often spiky, and sometimes you have different difficulty spikes and difficulty troughs, which I've tried to avoid, but you can't really help it. And you'll notice that the Barrys and the Rogers bounce off of each other. That's the little wrinkle in difficulty here, that they bounce. And you'll also notice that they glow. I'm trying to get somewhere where I won't die, I'm safe here. Where they go in, the aliens go in the goop, and they speed up. They have this little purple aura around them. That makes them speed up. If you go in the purple goop, you die. So don't do it. Anyway, we go to the overworld at the end of world level 10. As I said, some things are broken. The game will work as you go along it, but that's about all I can say. So you heard a glass shatter, but you don't know what it was. This is like a portal. It has the number 7 on it. You need to clear 7 levels to be able to get through to world 2. That's how I do level unlock, like world progression. You don't have to beat every level to go forward. You only have to beat 7 out of every 10. So in the end, you need to beat 69 levels. Nice. You need to beat 69... No, you actually have to beat like 70 levels. 70 level 63 to beat the game. Right, so, and every level has a name, although you don't see the names when you go from level to level. So if you go into the overworld, you'll see the level's names. In this case, the level's called Commitment Issues, because this slidey up and downy stuff, once you're on this ice, you can't move. So it's like you're sliding on the ice, you cannot change your direction. Think of it like a Zelda block pushing puzzle. When you push the block will just keep moving. You cannot turn around. That's also a teleporter, so you go in green, you come out of red. That's fairly straightforward. This is called... What is it called? It's like something to do with the mirror image, because the right-hand side is the flipped 180 degrees version of this first section, including the enemy's position and the pellets and everything. So it's just a complete mirror. The golden pellet, just so you know, does nothing. It's just for completion's sake. And if it was on Steam, you'd probably get an achievement for getting all of them and, you know, whatever. But it's not like it unlocks a secret world or something. It's just for completion's sake. Same as the time challenges. It's just an extra little wrinkle to you know, extend playtime if you want to. But I'm not doing that because most people, well, first of all, most people wouldn't even finish the game. But out of the people that do, a large majority of them won't bother going for 100% because that's just not interesting to them. So what will be interesting is to see how long it takes to just beat the game entirely. My aim is to have just beating the game by me, the person who made all the levels, take about an hour. So I could beat the game in an hour when I know all the levels and I made them all. So there's nothing that's going to surprise me about the levels. That's my idea. So yeah, as you can, well, maybe you can't tell, but as you will see, everything is made by me. All the levels design was made by me, all the music was made by me, all the art was made by me originally, and then was upgraded by Lex, but none of it's finished, so it's all subject to change. But the except really the level design, I'm happy with how the levels look in terms of like how you play them. I died because I'm an idiot. But yeah, but that's the general idea, that I'm happy with how the levels play and how the difficulty is in general. I've had to make certain levels easier because I'm a bit of a dickhead and I would expect too much of the player, so I made it easier. I'd rather have the game be too easy than too hard. If too many people can finish it and are unhappy because it's too easy, I can just make more levels. Like, if the game was popular to the point where people wanted more of it, I could just make like a hard mode or make levels that are harder, right? So there is nothing wrong with that. The keyboard and mouse controls do work. In the actual game, you'll have the choice to play... Well, I can play with a gamepad now if I wanted to, with an Xbox controller or whatever. In the main game, though, you'd select one, and then the UI would work with that. So, for example, right now I'm playing with keyboard. So I would play with keyboard and mouse, and so my mouse controls would work with the UI. But if you were playing with a gamepad, you don't want the mouse to interfere with the game, the UI menus and stuff, if you're using a controller, because you're obviously not using the mouse. So I'd disable the mouse, probably. As in, like, the UI interactions with the mouse would be disabled. This level's interesting. The graphic for this isn't done, but this at the end of this is a cannon, and it keeps me in place until I press the button. So I can time it. Maybe you can hear in the music, I don't know if you can or not, but every 5 levels in the world, you have the bit of the level without instrumentation in terms of drums, you have no percussion. But then every second half of the world, you get percussion. Because the difficulty is ramping up in that world. That was the idea anyway. So yeah, the general consensus or the general idea of this level is that you can time all of your stuff. And you're supposed to. You're supposed to time it all so that you can actually do what you need to do. What I'm supposed to do there is go as early as I can so I can get across the gap. Nice and easy. This could also be like a little video walkthrough at some point. Although the graphics will be different, the gameplay won't be, so this will still be fine for how you beat the levels. These platforms, fairly self-explanatory, they're little ice platforms that break when you go over them, so you can't go back over the pit will kill you. So there's a trick to, like, you can't, there's a certain way you have to go across the platforms, otherwise you won't be able to get back. You see I left myself a path. If you notice in the bottom left corner, that golden pellet's down there. You can get back across the path I've left, then get the pellet, then go through the teleporter to get back out of the level and win. Right. So that is a level that's full of this glass stuff, and it's about... Well, this is one of those levels where there's like maybe 20 different ways of winning. Sometimes there is only one path to go, but I don't necessarily like levels where you have to go a very specific way. In terms of, like, if there was only one solution to this ice maze, I'd be pretty upset with it. I'm much happier letting the player decide which way they think is the fastest way to go. I'm going to go up a bit just in case I miss the pellet. Because if I miss the pellet, the gate doesn't open and then I'm very sad. Okay, right. Get these 3 first. Obviously, the speed element adds a little dimension as well, because right now I'm not trying to go fast. If I was playing with the timer in mind, I'd be doing different things, because I have to go quickly. So I'd try and be prioritizing getting pellets that I can get to improve my speed, while also making sure I'm very deliberate with my movements. Right, I'm going to go back, because that guy was going to... Barry was going to hit me in the face if I didn't go back. Right, okay. There we go. Now I can leave. See you later. Right, now we're at the final world. The blizzard's gone insane. And we're basically going... If you imagine this to be like a subway, like a train track, where the trains are going on the tracks. That sort of idea was what was in my head when I developed it. So you're going on the... You're coming into oncoming traffic, basically. You're driving in a place where they teleport repeatedly. And the lights on there are supposed to... I don't know why, but it reminds me vaguely of like a Christmas tree. So I put the lights on here because it reminded me of a Christmas tree. I have no idea why. So like I said, the camera stuff doesn't work, but as soon as I press up and down, the camera figures its stuff out, so it doesn't matter. Here we go. So we're going to teleport. We change our skin colour. So now we are a sand snake, if you want to call it that. And now we are a sand snake in the game as well. So your skin will change. In the actual game as well, you'll have a different hat. It's not like a monetization thing. It's just you unlock a hat. So you will have like a, I guess like a, maybe not a sombrero, but like a sun catcher that they wear in Australia. Here is what I imagine you'd be wearing. All of the end little jingles change based on the world too. So sometimes, as you might have noticed in this level, I'll actually show you because it's interesting. There's no gate. There's nothing stopping me from going straight to the end. So for the speed challenge, what you have to do is go straight to the end. And then you win. But obviously to get the golden pellet, and I'll just show you this because I'm just the little difference in design. To get the golden pellet, I have to get all of the things. Then go back down here. Then go back up again, which means I can't do both the time and the golden pellet at once. Sometimes that's true. Sometimes you can do one or the other. Sometimes you can do both. But oftentimes you have to pick which one you want to do. So you beat the level a minimum of 2 times. So you could beat the level and get the golden pellet in the first try, then do it fast the second time. You don't have to beat any level 3 times because completion is one of the goals. So as long as you remember you have to get all the pellets first, then you could beat the level in 2 goes. Okay, right. So this is like the sand speedway or something. I imagined it like a racetrack. So this sand is, I didn't mention about what the sand's actually doing. It's pushing you around. So as you can see, without me pressing any buttons, I'm sort of getting carried by the sand. And it's pushing me, like it goes against me, so sometimes it's hard to go backwards. If you're going slow enough, you can't turn against the tide. It will just push you back, even though you're going forward, which looks a bit weird, but does make sense to me. So now we've got some berries and these yellow characters, which are called Yielding Yasmins. It was hard to find a name that began with a Y, because they were yellow. Okay, that's an interesting bug, but that's fine. I just need to make it so that you teleport further away from the exits. Yeah, so these are like sand bridges. You can hear the teleport noise. I'm not trying to hide the fact that there's teleporters at the end of these, because that's how it makes sense. That's what the game does. So you're going very, very fast on these sand things. You can actually sneak under here if you're very careful, which you have to do for the time trial, otherwise you won't make it in time. And this level has a pellet gate. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to avoid. Okay, yeah, I understand what's happening there. Don't worry. Right. So that's, yeah, the pellet gate is a gate that means you have to get all of the pellets to leave the level, but you don't. That doesn't mean you automatically get the golden pellet though. You still have to go out of your way to get that. So what the Yielding Yasmins do, these yellow characters, are they bounce off of walls. So only ever in straight lines, but they bounce off of walls. So there's no curving, there's no like circular movement, it's all bouncing and stuff. So they're going in circles but in straight lines, if that makes sense. So they're going in like a square rather than a circle or a rectangle, right? So you can predict what they're going to do because it's not random. Their movement isn't random. I don't like any random things in the things I make. So I try not to avoid it. I try to avoid RNG as much as I can. So their path is deterministic. They always do the same thing. So you can predict what they're going to do. So if someone, for example, again, this is like pie in the sky stuff. Say someone wanted to speedrun the game. You can learn exactly what to do because the enemies will do the same thing every time. So you could have a quote-unquote perfect run of what to do. This level is interesting because you see this one, I've covered like this Yasmin in ink. And this Yasmin that's covered in ink is drawing a path. I thought it was a bit difficult to tell where you were safe and where you weren't safe in this level. So I made a special Yasmin that like is dropping ink, which is actually just a black particle effect that just persists. So you've got a black particle effect that shows you the path, and that the path is where it isn't safe. So you know that if you're not on the path, you are safe. Basically. That was my thinking anyway. And then sometimes you have to cross the path, you can't really avoid it. Yeah, but you'll notice that the enemies can go through my tail pieces and stuff just fine. Everyone could. You're perfectly safe. Only your head is your hitbox. So as long as your head doesn't touch the sides, then you're fine. If enemies touch your head, you die. If you touch a wall with your head, you die. If you know all that stuff. But if the enemies touch you in the body, it doesn't matter. And again, this is relevant because a lot of the levels are designed around that idea. So if everyone said, no, I don't like it, I'd prefer it if it was like Snake, where you die if you collide with your own body. First of all, not only would it be extremely difficult, like the game would be much, much, much harder, but I'd have to probably redesign half the levels because they weren't designed with that in mind. They were designed with only your head being hit. Because Snake has been done before. If I just wanted to make a Snake game, I could make a Snake game. In fact, there is a Snake game in my game. I'll show you that in a minute. But it's not really about that. The original idea was it's Snake, but it has enemies in it. And the enemies aren't just the wall, right? This is probably one of the favourite songs that I made in the game. I just like it. I hope that, even though I know that nothing I've made is like the best thing that's ever existed or even close to it, all I really hope, and this is like a sincere thing, is that someone enjoys it. That's all I care about, really. I don't expect to become rich and famous and popular or whatever, because it's not going to happen. And neither would I want it to either. It's not something that I desire particularly. Maybe except the money. Fame and popularity doesn't mean much to me, but money obviously makes the world go round, so you kind of need that. But yeah, as long as someone enjoyed the thing I made, then I'm okay with anything else, honestly. So now you'll see that they're sort of like, that was a hard, I just did that badly. They're teaming up, so now they are following each other. This is surprisingly hard for me to code, for them to follow each other perfectly. I originally just had two of them on the same path, because what you don't see behind the scenes is there's a bunch of red nodes. They're invisible nodes that these guys know where to go. And they just move towards them over and over and over again. And just repeat. So when they hit the last one, they go back to the first one. And the last one happens to be the first one, so they just keep going round and round. But, yeah, getting two or more to follow each other, because of the way physics works, is actually really hard to do. Because they end up getting out of sync with one another. I needed to do that, but I was so close. Yeah, this level is getting a bit hard now, so even at World 3, some levels are going to be a bit nasty. There's one after this that's even nastier than this, but this, again, this is towards the end of World 3, and each one is going up in difficulty on its own difficulty curve very slightly. Not completely linearly. It's not like every single level is harder than the level that came before, because I don't think that's very fun. If you know that, in your mind, you get stuck on this level, let's say, and you just can't do it. I don't want you to be like, oh, well, I still need to clear another level out of this world, and every level after this one's going to be harder than this one. So you get discouraged. No, sometimes the levels will be easier, so you don't have to worry about being able to beat the game. Now, I don't think it's fair to say that I designed it so that anyone on the planet could beat it, because I just don't believe that. That's better. That's what I wanted to do. Not everyone will be able to beat the game. But I hope that most people can. That was what I was trying to do. So this is the level I think is harder than the one before. It's called Abrasive Affection. The reason why I called it that is because the map is an X and an O, like the hugs and kisses symbol. And there's loads of little name gags like that I put in the game that basically no one will ever see because it's on the overworld screen. It's the only place you see them. But I don't like cluttering the UI up with useless stuff you don't need. So all I've got is the pellet counter in the bottom left that tells you how many there are on the level. Whether you've got the golden pellet or not, which appears in the bottom right when you've got it. And the timer, which is on the top. And that's it. I like that sort of minimalistic UI because you don't need to know anything else. The only other thing that I have in the whole game is like a speedometer. And that's for one very specific level where it's useful to know how fast you're going. Because of a mechanic that I will show you when we get there. So that level's done. Alright, now this is the level I think is easier than the ones that came before it. So what I like to do is I move around. Deaths should be quick. So I'm not going to put very elaborate death animations or anything in because I like the idea of being able to restart instantly. Not only can you restart instantly if you hit a wall, but say for example you run out of time. You're going for the time challenge and you see the timer go red, which means you've run out of time. You can press the R key, or Y on the Xbox controller, the top button, triangle, to instantly reset the level. So you don't even have to wait to die. If for whatever reason you think that going into the wall is too slow, even though it's pretty quick. You can just press R and it instantly retries. Right, so I'm going through the whirlpool. Whee! Now we're in World 2. It was subtle, but the world map music has just changed. So now it's got a little thing like a synth in the background. I wanted to make like a Banjo-Kazooie-esque song that is the same for every world but changes slightly as you go through the game. So for the first 3 worlds, it's the first bit. Now we're in the second variation for the next 4 worlds. But again, most people will spend about 10 seconds on the overworld, so it doesn't really matter. But right, so we're in the volcano now. I've also made these little things, these little transitions, sort of like add a bit of continuity to the game. So from the level that came before, there were the whirlpools at the end of World 3, and there's a whirlpool, like a sand, quicksand here, that shows how you got here, basically. It's one of those stupid things that no one else but me cares about, but but I'm like, yes, I have to put it in. So lava, as you might expect, is bad, so don't touch it. Obviously, if we're going to be realism, you would die as soon as you went anywhere near the lava, because of course you would. This lava turns on and off, if you'd like to think of it like that. I put a little red thing around it to show when it's lethal, because I like conveyance to the player, even if it doesn't look the best. If the player understands what I'm showing you, that's the main thing to me. So there's little red barriers around the ground where you, you know, if the thing is red, you die, basically. So if it's not red, you can walk on it. Again, lava would kill you before you even got close to that, but you know. Another thing I haven't noticed, or haven't explained, I have noticed it, but I haven't explained it, is that the pellets you pick up are in order. So for example, that weird rainbow one is because I picked up a rainbow pellet at that time. So it is kept in order. You always start with 3 tail pieces, so you've got that to keep track of what pellets you've picked up and stuff. Not that anyone will ever use it, but it's just, again, it's just little things that I care about that no one else cares about. Or probably the players playing, not that no developers care about it, I'm sure plenty do. I mean, the game, people who play the game probably won't care, but I do. So we've got the rainbow pellet that speeds you up, the equivalent of eating 20 pellets, and this dark pellet that slows you down, the equivalent of eating 20 pellets. So this lava that is just on all the time instantly kills you if you touch it. That was also pretty hard to code. It was pretty hard to code the fact that, well, hard for me as someone who is not a programmer. Someone like Thomas or someone who is a software developer would look at this, that's not fucking hard at all. But or someone who's used to working in Unity, it was hard for me. Basically, what the lava is like a big hitbox, and usually what would happen is if you walk on the hitbox, you get hurt, right? Because you've hit it. That makes sense. But what you need to have happen is when I'm colliding with the platform, don't kill me. Now, there's 2 ways of doing that. You either turn off your hitbox while you're on the platform, which isn't the smartest idea, because if you do that, then you could just go across the whole level and cheat. Or make it so that what I did is that I'm constantly colliding with something, right? All the time, either the ground or the platform or the lava. And it keeps track of how many things I'm colliding with. And if I'm only colliding with one thing, so right now I'm colliding with 2 things. Now I'm colliding with 2 things. I'm colliding with the lava and I'm colliding with the platform at the same time. If what I'm colliding with is only one thing, which means that the only way that happens is if I'm only colliding with the lava, then I die. So right now I change from colliding with the platform to colliding with the ground. I change from colliding with the ground to colliding with the platform. That means my hitboxes have to be pretty good, because if I fuck it up, there might be a frame where you're only touching the lava and then you die, even though it looks like you shouldn't die. So there's like weird glitches that could happen, and I have to be careful about that. And it will almost certainly happen during the course of the playthrough, because I'm not perfect, and these things get fixed as I notice them. So, yeah, the change in direction is not random. Every time they hit a bit of ground, it changes, so you can sort of tell that it's going to change direction. The goo, I haven't explained what it is yet. It's corruption. So the general plot, there's not really a lore to the game, but there is kind of. The general plot to the game is that this snake is the last snake on the planet. Humans were clearly here at some point, because there's a lot of man-made stuff. At least there will be later in the game. But wherever they are, they're not here. So that we don't ever see any humans, we don't see any life at all, besides like the occasional animal, like the birds and the vultures in the desert, and other such animals. There'll be animals in every world, just different kinds of animals. Maybe not in the volcano, because all human life would die, and all life in general would probably die. And the snake would probably die too, but that's irrelevant. We're the player character, so we get plot armor. Yeah, so all life is gone. The aliens have arrived, for whatever reason. Probably because there's something on Earth that they need. And they will, they're leaving this corruption behind. Not on purpose, it's not like a absorbing of the resources, destroy the planet, fuck them. It's just a consequence of their being here. Is it's spreading this miasma, this sort of corruption, this purple bioluminescent gunk that kills anything that goes into it besides the aliens themselves. And that's the general idea. So these guys, these green guys, are called Jerry, with a G. Gyroscopic Jerry. And what they do is the same as the Yasmins, except they only move in curves. So they bounce off of walls and things the same, but they kind of work like roto discs as well, if you remember Mario World. Yeah, so they work like roto discs in that they spin around and they bounce off of walls, but they do circles. So any of their movements, they do circles. This is like a little trick platform. They let fake you out. Yeah, see there, that just there. I think that was fair, but you'd have to tell me what you think. I for a frame, I touched the lava before I touched the ground, but I was clearly, in my mind, I was clearly not on the platform still. And I've tried to be fair to the player as much as possible, so that if there's even 1 pixel of you on the ground and on the platform, and not just the lava, you live. But sometimes it goes wrong, sometimes it's not perfect. But I've tried to be kind. I'd rather be too friendly to the player than not friendly enough. This is the hardest part of the level by far. Also because the Jerry decides to turn up and hit you in the face. So you have to time 2 different things. You have to time the platform. Well, actually 3, if you're counting your movement as one of the things you have to time. You have to time when you go, you time when the platform is going to be there, and you time when Jerry's not going to be there. But this level used to be harder than this. I actually slowed that Jerry at the end down because it was happening far too often that he would sync up exactly to hit you in the face, and it wasn't intentional. I've never designed the game to be intentionally trolly if I can help it. It just happens that way sometimes. But yeah, when this game eventually comes out and it's like really, really done, I will probably charge $2 for it. I mean, I've spent hundreds of hours on it already, to be honest. Again, it might not look like I spent hundreds of hours on it, but I have. I was too far away from the edge of the platform. That's just timing error. That's human error, not game being bad, as far as I understand it. I don't mind telling you when the game's bad. For example, there are plenty of levels that I've had to fix because I've forgot to remove collision from 1 bit of ground. I'll explain how collision works in a second, but I've forgotten to remove collision from a tile on the ground. You just die. You just walk into a bit of ground and die when you shouldn't. So the way collision works, there's 2 collision maps, because this is a tile-based game, as you can tell. Although my movement is not tile-based, I can move freely. The ground is tile-based, so you have 2 layers of tiles. You have tiles that hurt you, and you have tiles that don't hurt you. Right? Makes sense? So you have the tiles that, like the ground, for example, which obviously shouldn't hurt you, and then these wall tiles that do hurt you. They're on 2 separate layers, so that I can't get confused about which one's which. Now, in the past, they were all on 1 layer, and I thought that's pretty stupid, so I separated them into 2 layers. But what I did was I duplicated the deadly layer into the non-deadly layer, which meant I had to clear all the deadly stuff away from the ground that I didn't want to be deadly anymore. And as a consequence of that, if I've ever forgotten to clear a tile for any reason, that tile will still kill me. So I think about a map like this, where there's a bunch of ground. I painstakingly went through and cleared all the ground, but if I've missed a single tile, for some reason that the player wouldn't understand for any reason at all, you would just die. You'd hit the tile on the ground and die, because it's a collision tile. Now, I fixed probably about 6 levels where that happened, and it was one tile in the whole level that would kill you. But it doesn't matter if it's only one tile or not. If you play the game and you die to something that's bullshit, you're going to think it's bullshit, right? So I've tried to fix that as much as possible. This level's called the Centrifuge. No points to guessing why that is. But yeah, so we're already in World 4. There's only 10 worlds, so we're nearly halfway through the game. I don't know how long it's been, because I can't see a timer, but I'll let you know when I'm done, I guess. Right, so. That needs to be fixed. The key is behind the platform. Oh well. At least you know the key is there, because you can see it before you get there, so that's fine. That's just a layering issue, that's not a big problem. And the reason why I've put myself in the editor mode is just in case there's a level that can't be beaten for whatever reason, like it's broken, then I can fix it. Well, or I can fix it, or I can just skip the level for now and move on, because I can do that in the editor. I can't do that in the base game. There used to be a debug where you could skip forward and backward in levels, but I removed it because I don't want to forget to remove it later on. And then someone finds this one secret trick that lets you beat the whole game because you can just press fucking N and move forward in the levels. N is for next, by the way, just in case you were confused as to why I made it N. Yeah, so you might have noticed in that weird middle section, it's actually the turning off and on lava. So I can actually cheat. Right, I call it a cheat. I can move across the lava quickly and avoid the path which is dangerous. And I did that on purpose because I thought it was a bit like too hard. Maybe this part was too hard. So I gave myself the lava that you can turn off and on. So that at some points, if I did it correctly, I think I was a few frames too early. You can go on the lava and skip the challenge, really. This isn't the cool part of the level yet. I want to show you the cool part. But each level as well, just so you know, I wanted each level to be less than 60 seconds long on average. So the longest level in the game I think is about 3 minutes long. And that's the longest level in the game. There's only one of them that's anywhere close to that length. There are a few minute and a half long levels. There are a few levels that are about 60 seconds long. There are some levels that are less long than that. There are some levels that are 10 seconds long, you know. I tried to make the levels fair. Like, this is the cool part. See, so they can bounce off of the ground. So they're trying to do like a rotodisc thing, but they can't because there's nowhere for them to go. There's a wall in the way, so they keep bouncing. Again, this is an illusion. It's not actually doing that. This is all still nodes that they have to travel along, which is why the circles aren't perfect. But it gives the illusion that they're bouncing off the walls, right? Which is what I wanted to achieve. There probably are ways of doing this, actually. But would it be more performant, or would it just look cool? You know? Okay. So now we're towards the end of World 4. There's a bunch of spinny guys. This level's actually really, really easy. He says, as he dies another 20 times on it. No. It's not hard. This level used to be nightmarishly difficult. But I changed it. Whenever something was too hard, I was like, no, that's not fair. Like, if my general idea is if it takes me more than 20 minutes to beat a single level, it's too hard. So I change it to make it so that maybe I can do it in 10 minutes or something like that. This level will not take that long. It's nice and easy now. As long as you can predict movement, you'll be fine in this game, generally. Okay, this is the final level of World 5, and it is pretty difficult. But only if you want to get all of the sometimes the level, like the challenge of the level, there's some cut off there because I haven't put all the things in the right order, but it doesn't matter. Sometimes the only challenge in the level is trying to beat the golden pellet. Sometimes the level itself is nice and easy to just beat. Even that wasn't fast enough. And you can see some conveyor belts. Oh, that's interesting. What are the conveyor belts about? Yeah, these little tricks are to obfuscate you changing colour. So now I'm grey. So this is the factory. This is where you see the human influence. Like, clearly a factory is man-made and saw blades are man-made. The aliens didn't bother to make this. They might have co-opted it for their own needs right now, but they didn't make it. Clearly humans, or some kind of intelligent life, made this stuff. But wherever they are, they're long gone. So now we can see in the background, so these saw blades, they're sinusoidal, so they move in a sine wave, back and forth. That was fairly easy to do. There's a function for sine in Unity, so that's not hard to do. With different intensities and different stuff. Again, what was hard about this was making it respect you restarting the level and starting from the start. In the past, when I originally made it, the sinusoidal wave was like persistent. So you'd die, and the saw blades would stay where they were when you died, which is obviously not good, because if you're speedrunning, for example, you want things to be consistent so that you know how to time things. If it changes every time you die, that makes it much more difficult. So I didn't want that, so I fixed that. Changed it so that it's now procedural. It's not procedural, sorry. So you can see in the background of the level they are putting blocks of metal and turning them into some sort of gun-like shape. Of course, the gun-like shape is not complete, but this is also the only world that is in like perpetual darkness. It's obviously not too dark, but there is an element of darkness. We've got these little warning symbols that are flashing back and forth. Obviously, I'm trying to be considerate of people with photosensitivity, so the lights are never too bright or flashy, I hope. Although if people tell me otherwise, I'll probably tone them down. But I don't think this is too glaring. And I like the way it looks. Personally. Maybe you don't, but I do. Again, this is not perfect. It's not finished in any way. It's just, you know. But I like the level design, like I said, is pretty much staying the same as it is. So that's not going to change. So that's how it is. This is a sinusoidal wave, but it's a special one because they're all actually on the same sine curve. And they are just offset from each other very slightly within the same curve. Rather than having 10 saw blades that have 10 unique curves, it's actually only one curve and they're all on it at different points, which is kind of cool. So I have two different sine waves basically. I have one sine wave script where I can change the direction and change the severity and change the intensity, and then I have another sine wave script which is actually an array of sine waves, so that I can put all of these saw blades or anything I want really to move in a sine wave, but have them all be on the same wave rather than different ones. That's how it works. And I'm just chatting shit, but that, you know, this is maybe someone's interested. I don't know. Another interesting thing is I wanted these lights to be on like quote-unquote ceiling level, so I didn't want the walls to be painted with the lights. You notice how the walls are not getting covered in red and yellow, which they would do if I'd left the lighting system as default. So I've actually made the walls not respect lighting, which means that sometimes odd things occur. For example, if I made those lights, say on the lights where I am now on the left-hand side of the screen, if I made them a bit bigger, the light would bleed through the wall onto this section of hallway over here, which obviously doesn't make any sense. So I have to be very careful about how the lights do their thing. These ground textures, as you can see, are electrified. There's a few levels that have a mechanic in that you only ever see once. This is one of them. The electrical floors are only in this level. I don't mind that. It's more work for me, but, you know, it gives it a little bit of an interesting twist on the level. I mean, this is kind of cheating because these electrical grids are just the same as the lava, but with different graphics and different speeds. It's exactly the same as how the lava works, just with different graphical thing. But it gives the different vibe, right? And it has a different sound effect when you get hit by it. So instead of a sizzle, you get hit by an electrical sort of brrr. A lot of the noises I made with my own mouth because I was lazy and because I'm, you know, sound effects are a pain in my ass. One of the things that's going to slow this game down the biggest is finding all the sound effects to use, because I just hate doing it, honestly. I'm not a sound engineer, so nothing I do sounds particularly good. It sounds passable, but, you know, Passable ain't really going to cut it. But then, as I was saying with the pricing structure, I kind of go off and off on topics and sort of leave them hanging. Eventually, I'll charge like $2, or maybe $2 or so, perhaps, for the game when it's complete, when it's completely done. That's my idea. Now, if it's like graphically better than this, and the sound is good, and the levels feel good, and everything, I could probably be tempted to go up to 5, but it would never ever go higher than 5. You see some people charge like $15 for something, and you think, how on earth have you come to this figure, right? My feeling is like the price per level has to be good. So right now, if I charge $2, I'm talking in dollars because that's, you know, the currency that most people know about. If you charge like $2 and 100 levels, that is 2 pennies or 2 cents per level, right? So that's pretty good in terms of like a cost. For me, I think that's pretty good, right? If I go to 5, that's now 5 cents per level, and it's getting a bit more expensive. We also have the price per hour comparison, but this game is not long enough to really do that, because you're basically talking about the price of the charge is for the price per hour, to me. Now, if you want 100, I've tested this before, and I've 100%ed the game in 6 hours. It's taken me 6 hours to get absolutely everything. But then, I'm not, even though I made the game, I'm not the most skillful at these kinds of reflexive games, so there'll be people who can do it faster than I am. So, yeah, don't take that as, like, gospel, but, yeah, my thinking is if people could get, like, an hour out of the game, maybe 2, for finishing just beating the game, then that would be pretty cool. I'd be happy with that. The drums have kicked in. I mean, the music's very quiet, but that's because I've put it quiet in the audio options. The game has got an audio options menu and a resolution options menu and all that stuff. It's not perfect yet. It's still a bit weird. Sometimes the things you do don't really work, but in theory, the sound slider and the music slider does work, so you can change that. There's no speech, so I don't need a speech option. Here you can see the different sinusoidal waves in the same level. So the sine waves on the middle and the edge are 8 saw blades, or 12 in the case of the middle, all on different paths. Whereas the sine wave on the right is 4 blades that are going on the same sine wave at different points. So you can see the difference of that and how that works. Okay. Cool. So now we've got conveyor belts. Conveyor belts are just like sand, except they're less potent. For whatever reason, the middle has lost its depth. I'll have to fix that. So now you can see how the sausage is made. So now these are, if I explain what's going on in the middle, the cannons are now getting painted, right? So they were made out of pure metal before, so they're like a grey, dull grey sort of metal. Now they're getting painted purple, because the next world we're going to is purple. Yeah, so that's that. I don't know why the depth of the thing is wrong, so you can actually see the cannons in front of the machines, which shouldn't be the case, but that's fine. Again, the benefit of showing you this early is that I can tell you all this stuff, you know. I don't mind showing you stuff that's not done, because I'm not trying to charge you early access, you know, pay $15 to play this game that's not finished. I would never ever do that. I'm only going to put the thing on Steam when I'm happy it's done. So the downside, if you want to call it that, the counter argument, is that I don't get to have any feedback until I've released the thing. Not that anyone's going to play it anyway, so it's kind of a dull point or null point, but that's just the old self-doubt, you know. And it's very possible that no one in the planet likes this game. Like, everyone thinks it's bad. That's fine. Like, there was a comment about demo discs recently on Twitter, which is a hellsphere, but, you know, I've got to do some socializing, even if I don't like it. So, they were saying about demo discs and how it's not going to help indie developers, because what if people play the demo and they don't like it and they think it's bad? My counter argument to that is, well, if your demo is bad, your game's probably bad. So maybe just make a good game. It's not as easy as that, obviously, but there's an element of it. Like, if people don't like your demo, you have to ask yourself why. What about it don't they like? Should we be, you know, happy about a world where the only way we know if we like something is after we've already spent the money? Not in my head, no. You shouldn't have to spend the money to know if you like something or not. So I'll show you this stuff early, and the reason why I charge so little, you know, like comparatively, you know, $5 is a lot for a lot of people, but or $2 even. But the reason why I think that is because if, say, I'm not going to make a demo, I'm going to release the game, it's going to come out when it comes out, and you don't like it, you spent $2. It's not the end of the world, right? That's how I see it. You're annoyed, but you're not like freaking out. Maybe you still get a Steam refund. That's fine. You could probably beat the whole game and then refund it if you really cared that much about it. I should explain these crushers. These crushers just go up and down, like the berries, but they go up and down at different speeds. So they have a different sort of vibe to them. And they have a nice little crushy sound that I made with my mouth. You know? Once you hear it, you can't unhear it, that it's my mouth making the noises. Obviously the saw blade, I can't do that. I'm good, I'm not that good. So that's one I got off of free sound. I have credit those. The ones I do use, obviously I credit. A lot of them don't let you use it for commercial purposes though, because they're bastards. So I have to use them. I use the ones that give me license. But most of the time, even the ones that don't give you license, I change a lot of how they sound in Audacity anyway, which then, in my mind, is now fair use, right? Can you own the copyright to a sound of a saw blade? Maybe not. Especially if I edit the pitch and the frequency and the tone and crossfade it and stuff in a different way to the original sound in Audacity. Obviously that's going to be different. You might ask, what the hell is with the spikes? Why do they look like that? That was just for my visualization of how they would look. They'll actually be in the ground, so they'll have little tracks on the floor that they go on in the final game, so that explains why you can go behind them. That's my general thinking. That's still too loud, that's fine, I'll change that. The sounds are overlapping, so I just need to make their default sounds less. Yeah, so you can go behind them. The idea is you're supposed to be able to go behind them. This is the final level of World 5, so we're exactly halfway through the game after this. These make a nice pattern. So what this is, just so you know, all of these are animations. So these crushers are going back and forth in an animation, repeating over and over again. So I made 10 different... this isn't the way you should do this, by the way. I'm almost certain of it. But I made 10 different animations for each of these crushers. So, or 8, or however many there are. So there's one that's like, oh, this is 4.5 tiles long, this is 5.5 tiles long, this is 7.5 tiles long, this is whatever. And just made a bunch of different animations that the crushers identify with an int value that gives them their index. So they know which one they're talking about. So we're in the refuse chute now, and as we go through the refuse chute, I'm going to go back a second so you can see it. Go in the refuse chute, plop out, and we're in the ocean now. So we're in the crystal caves. The river has gone white again. So the river's supposed to be pink. In the build, it wouldn't be wrong. It's because I'm in the editor that makes it go wrong. I have to just change the shader graph and fix it again. They've got these cannons that shoot bullets. The bullets obviously kill you. They just go straight in a direction until they hit the wall. They are not homing in any way, so don't worry about that. That noise is also made by my mouth. That little laser sound. Pew, pew, pew. Obviously edited slightly, but it is my mouth. So that was also a thing to avoid the whole problem with the sound thing. If I make the sounds myself, then obviously I own the rights to those sounds because I made them. And I have the files of my recordings to prove that I made them in case people don't think that I did. So that's... I'm a little bit conscious about that stuff. Not that anyone's gonna care, right? The only way people would care is if this game was like the level of Among Us popularity where suddenly hundreds of thousands of people have played it and I haven't credited them for the sound that I used, right? Otherwise, no one's going to care. But I will credit them anyway because I don't want that kind of shit in my life. I just need life to be easy and simple. So that's my general thinking. I don't want more aggro than I need. So yeah, the river that is white right now, which is, you know, let's just call it milk to save ourselves the trouble of any other descriptions. The river that's milk right now is supposed to be pink. So think of like Pepto-Bismol in colour. And the reason why is because the sewage is making it go a weird colour. The refuse from the factory is making the river go weird. This cavern is supposed to be purple. It's like an amethyst sort of crystal cavern. So the actual look of it will be a lot different. It'll look more crystalline than it does like this. This is more like palatial with the tiles and stuff that I used. That I made in Photoshop in about 5 seconds. But it's going to look more crystalline, more natural, more caverny. And this song is actually like 5 minutes long. It's the longest song I ever made. And it just goes into like this weird sort of like techno bit. I don't know why. But yeah, I just like the sort of elevation, the change, the music, the progression. Right. So these bullets are also not random. It will be the same basically every time. The problem with, again, this is physics stuff. The problem with this stuff is they'll be microscopically different every run. Now, hopefully, it doesn't mean that you get killed on one run and don't get killed on the next, but there's not a lot I can do about it if it is like that. I introduced the shield. This shield is only in like 3 levels. What the shield does, that's also hidden behind the thing. I need to change the depths again. What the shield does is it blocks bullets. Well, it actually blocks all damage except colliding into the wall. So you can, well, you can still die if you crash into the cannons as well, but projectiles basically bounce off. So you no longer die to projectiles. You see these little spinning orbs. There'll also be like a little particle effect around you so you can tell. And you hear the brow, brow. That's the bullets bouncing off. The shield doesn't have hit points, it's just time. So it lasts about 5 seconds or something. And you can absorb bullets while that's going on. Okay, so we're going through the speed tunnel now. This is like the shooting gallery. The bullets are also sometimes going behind the corruption, which I've got to fix. That's because the corruption is a 3D shape, because it's the only way you can get the shape to work with the shader graph and also look the way it should look. So it's 3-dimensional, which means that sometimes the bullets are on the wrong depth to actually go through it. And so they get drawn behind it. It's not the end of the world, especially since you can't go in the corruption anyway. It's just distracting. It's just visually distracting, is how I'd describe it. This is like a, I consider it like a stealth section. You've got the bullets that are shooting at the walls, and you just have to hide behind the wall and wait. Which again is why you don't die when you go over your own tail, because it would basically be impossible to protect yourself against that if you also had to make sure you don't go over your own tail. I did consider making like an extreme hard mode or something where you did die if you went over your own tail, but then, like I said, I'd have to redesign all the levels. I'd basically be making a different game at that point. I keep doing that, I keep driving into the wall. At speed, it is quite hard to control. Not in like a negative way, just like the reaction time is the key part. Obviously, you move as soon as you press the button. So the reason why I'm dying is because I'm not pressing the button fast enough, not because I'm pressing it and I die before I hit the button. You know what I mean? There's no like delay on my input. My input is exact. Whenever I put the button in, it goes straight away. It's just that I occasionally am too slow to react. That's how it goes. I definitely want to go up that right-hand channel, though, because that's the fastest way to get to the end of the level. And the cannon will still shoot you, and can still kill you, if you're not at the top of the screen. So the new mechanics here, obviously the cannons, they shoot bullets. So this is a spawner. It's the first spawner in the game, things that spawn other things. And they also have a script on them that makes them rotate. So they spin. Making something spin is not hard, but making something spin back and forth is a little bit harder within certain parameters. So I've got like a steering angle that they turn to, and then they turn back the exact opposite amount. So if they have 20 degrees one way, they go 20 degrees the other way. That's not too bad. And I'm also combining it now with bullets that turn on and off. So you've got bullets that sometimes shoot and sometimes don't. This is the spinner of misery. It spins and shoots a bunch of bullets. Bullets that collide with each other do kill each other. So you don't have to worry about, you know, there secretly being a second bullet behind the first one that's going at a different angle and you don't notice it until it kills you. If a bullet collides with another one, it will destroy. And obviously if the bullets collide with the walls, they destroy. If they collide with you, you die. If they collide with anything other than you, they die. This lake is supposed to be a lake full of pink. And the lake is supposed to be, like, moving. It's not supposed to be static. But obviously, because it's all white, you can't tell. So now we've got the bullets that shoot, but they stop. But they're static in placements rather than rotating. So this is more about timing. There's like 2, maybe 3 different kinds of levels in this game. There are ones where you have to time things, and ones where you have to react to things. There's the main 2. So, right now I'm timing things. I'm not really reacting, I'm timing, because I just go at the right time and I live. But there are some times where you can't just time it. This is probably the hardest opening screen in the game. But it is the same every time, so if you get used to it, you can basically live, again, with some microscopic changes. It's basically the same every time. I can't guarantee it, because physics are weird, but I can basically guarantee it. So if I die in the same way, it's because I did the same thing. So you can learn what to do and what not to do. Now, is that good game design? Not really. Really, if in an ideal world, like a perfect game, you'd be able to beat it on your first try just by looking and reacting to what you see. I don't think my game is that. Sometimes you can, and a lot of time you can, but sometimes you can't. Sometimes you do have to learn how it works, and then you understand it. But hopefully, because everything's so fast in my mind, like in terms of the restart time and everything, because it's quick, I hope it's not such a ball ache that you don't want to try, right? I hope the timing is decent, you know, like the amount of time it takes you to learn how to do it is not long. But I'm not sure. Oh, I do know why. Okay. You hear the ding ding? The shield icon also blocks bullets. I'm not sure if it should or not, but it is. Because it is a shield, right? So the shield itself also blocks bullets. So you hear the boing, boing. What I should probably do is just make it positional so you don't hear it until you're near it. But the reason why you hear it so clearly is because the sound actually plays from the player's perspective, because it's supposed to play while you have the shield on. So obviously it will play from the player when you're right next to it. But it shouldn't be playing from the player right now. But that's fine. Again, these little small things you can fix. It's not a big problem. When you just leave them and pretend it's not a problem when it is, that's when people get annoyed. You have to do that, otherwise you'll just die. It's actually harder than it looks. You have to sort of bounce back and forth. What happened there? That's a new one. Usually when you beat the level and the UI comes up, you're not supposed to be able to die. So I wonder what happened there. I have to look into it. I think a bullet hit me somehow when I was already done with the level, so I'll have to look into that, but I wonder why. Huh. Well, I'll just beat the level again, it's not a problem. And if it happens again, then I can skip the level. Because I've actually, in terms of how, as far as the game is concerned, if this happens in gameplay, I have beaten the level. There is nothing else to it. The level is completed. So I could just quit back to the overworld and I would be done. But I don't want to do that. Mainly because right now the UI doesn't work too well and I don't want to get stuck. So I will just pretend that I didn't beat the level. What would happen, I think, is I'd try and press escape and the game will go, "What are you doing?" And I just have to pause the video for a second, fix it, and then it will work. But I'd rather do it all in one go. But yeah, the reason why I don't mind showing people this is, like, some people might say, well, it's so clearly not finished, why would you not, you know, wait? Because it is basically mechanically finished. That's why. Like, in terms of how the game will play, it's basically done. Like, there's nothing else going to be added or changed, so you can sort of know if the game is something you'd be interested in playing already, because this is what the game is. There's nothing else to it. It's not like a, you know, like the weird games that are sort of secretly 2 games. This is the game. So I'm gonna press next before I die. Okay, yeah, so that's weird. I wonder why that happened. Doesn't matter. There's something to note down for the old bug testers, aka me, to solve. If for any reason you do want to play the game, not this exact build, but a build basically just like it, is on itch.io. So you can play that. If you search for Willy's Revenge 2. I'm not trying to be funny, and that one's free. That version's free, because it's not finished, so you're not going to make you pay for a game that's not finished. You can pay if you want, but if you just put 0, it'll just give you the thing. It'll probably try and guilt trip you or something, but don't listen to it. Don't worry about it. I'm not bothered. Just put 0 and then download it if you want to, and then see how you feel. There may be bugs that are present in that version that aren't present here, so I might update it at some point, but for now I don't need to. Right, so at the end of World 6, you may have noticed the gigantic cannon on the right-hand side. That is not a problem. That is there on purpose. You'll see why after the level. So now we're combining all the elements. We've got every enemy we've seen up to this point. Red, blue, yellow, and green. We've got cannon shooting. We've got corruption. We've got things that stop and start. This is actually the only example of this in the whole game, where now instead of the bullets turning on and off, the cannons move and then stop moving. And it's the only time it happens in the game, is in this level, I do believe. It's actually harder than it looks. There are... Oh wait, are there? Interesting. Let me try something. I thought there were... Obviously, it's been a while since I made the levels ages ago, and I sometimes come back and test it. I thought I'd made these pellet gates so that you had to get all the pellets to leave, but maybe I removed that because I thought it was too hard. So maybe I only made it so you have to get the keys, which means what I'm trying to do now is beat the level without getting any pellets at all. I'll be slow, but slow means more controllable. So that's a little dynamic difficulty sort of thing, where you can choose, do I want to be slow and definitely not get it in time? Or do I want to just go slow and be safe? Or do I go fast and maybe I die, but it's, you know, it's faster, so I can actually get the time limit. It helps for stop playing like a barbarian as well. Just in general. It helps if you actually try and not die, you know? And moving in the path of Jerry in a circular motion is not a great way to not die, for the record. And I hope that the music and stuff is inoffensive enough that you don't get annoyed listening to it. I tried to make it not abrasive if I could help it. Oh, obviously abrasive things can be more interesting musically, but I just didn't want it to be abrasively, you know, annoying to listen to. So I tried to make it so that you could theoretically have it on the background and not even notice it's there. It's inoffensive. That was my idea. I don't know if I succeeded or not, but that's the idea. Okay, so now this is going to stop as we go by. And it's going to stop. Which means you get plenty of time to go over here and get the key. Yeah, I only need the keys. Okay, so I just have to go over to this side and do the same thing. You might also notice that all the keys are like foresty keys. That's because all the graphics for the different world keys aren't done yet. How did I die? Not saying because the hitboxes are... like, how did I manage to fuck that up is what I mean. I was going so slow. Maybe the slowness put me off. I'm used to going faster. At this point in the level. I'll take a few pellets, go a little bit quicker. Yeah, I'm throwing myself off now. You ever get that when you play a game and you start getting into your own head and you start making mistakes that you wouldn't have otherwise made because of the fact that you got into your own head? Or is it just me? It might just be me. I am just that kind of guy to do something so stupid. But it's fine. Alright, so I'm like one pallet up on where I was before, so now I can do this. Okay, right, so I can go with the old thing like this as well. You can go... There's multiple ways to do this. You can do it when the cannons are going with you. You can do it when the cannons are going against you. It's fine. Right, there we go. I'm finished. Good. Okay, so that's World 6 done. So I'm going to go backwards so I can show you this. We get cannonballed into the sky and we change colour in the fireworks. There's also going to be this, which I'll show you. It's not done yet, but there'll be a parachute. So you, like, float back down. So the thing on the right, this structure, so I can show you it, is like a tower. It's going to be a tower full of level dots. So you're going to like parachute off the thing. So now we've got Pursuant Peter. Pursuant Peter is a bit of a bastard. He's this purple ghost-like creature. The only enemies in the game that have pathfinding. They are trying to actively hunt you down, with varying degrees of success. They're not supposed to be a massive threat, but they will. They're a constant threat. They will get when you get into their aggro range. They aggro on you, and once they aggro on you, you are never ever free from their chase. They will chase you forever. So they will always be trying to chase you. So we're in the Jade Ruins. And as we're at the top of the tower, there's not very much air in here, and there's not very much light. As we get down towards the ground, there will be more and more light, and less dust. Just so you can see that. But we've got a door here that's slowly going to very slowly open. Obviously, it wouldn't look like this in the final game. I just made it so I could show the distinction between what they look like and what normal things look like. We also got these arrows, which are just bullets, but look differently and have a little cool little trail. And you'd be surprised how many games do this sort of thing, where it's just exactly the same as another thing, but it looks different and sounds different, which gives the player the illusion that it's a different thing entirely when it's not. These are just bullets. They just look like, red-tipped arrows. You can see when the pursuer, Peter, goes through the goop, he goes very quickly. They speed up a lot when they go in the goop. So you want to avoid leading them through the goop if you can help it. Obviously, it's not always that easy. But you want to avoid it if you can. There's also no audio cue for when the door's done moving. You just have to go check. That's on purpose. These little punji sticks come out of the orange blocks in the ground, so you can always tell where they're going to come out from. They should never surprise you, because you can always see it. These guys can't pathfind into here because it's too thin a gap, so they can't follow you. So what they will now do is they'll be heading towards the entrance while I'm trying to leave. So you can get to the exit before they get back to you and chase you. So that's the general idea. I look almost regular snake coloured again, but I am slightly jader, more light green than I was before. Yeah, these guys creep up on you quick when they go through the fucking corruption. I forgot how fast they go. But yeah, even when they go really fast, they should not be the main thing that kills you in general. They could kill you, but they shouldn't be the main thing that kills you. The thing that mainly kills you will be the sticks and the corruption and the enemies, the other enemies. Right, so the ghosts also don't get hit by anything. So the arrows go straight through them, the punji sticks go straight through them. You know, everything basically goes straight through them. That's on purpose too. But you can tell that because they turn invisible when things hit them. So you know that they are avoiding that. So I'm just going to wait here for a second to show you that the ghosts eventually do show up. The golden pellet is pretty hard to get. You have to go through this slow section again, then go get the pellet, then leave again when they're right here. They're not far behind me. Okay. So now we've got a new mechanic again. Every 2 levels or so I throw in like one new thing, just a new interesting thing. We have these doors. Now we've got these red and blue doors that are connected to each other. So we have red doors, if it helps if I don't collide into the enemy. We have red doors here. When the switch is red, the red doors are on. Makes sense, right? When the blue switch is on, the blue doors are on. There are no blue doors yet, but as soon as I touch this, as soon as I can, out of the way, ghost. Now the blue doors are on, and you can see when I go back, the red door's gone, but the blue door's appeared. Okay? I could put little, outlines to show where the doors would be, but I don't think it's necessary because you can only go one way, right? So it's not like there's ever somewhere you can go. It's not non-linear. The level is linear, so you don't have to worry about that. Again, you're now in the world of having to go backwards and forwards in tight spaces. Helps if I don't drive into the wall. But that's essentially the end of the level. So you can see the exit over there. The exit gives off a glow, so you can always see it no matter what the light conditions are. And you're never in a level that's completely pitch black either, because I don't think that's very fun. So you can always see everything on the level. It's just varying degrees of darkness. And that's mostly for atmosphere rather than the actual level design itself. So it's very rare that you're in very, very dark areas. There's like one level in the game that's pretty dark. But all the rest are fairly good. This level, the pathfinding doesn't work too well, so sometimes the Peters get stuck. I'm going to fix that. Again, it's better for the player, so these sorts of things I don't mind too much, but it is definitely something I've got to fix, because they shouldn't be getting stuck. They get stuck on corners. Ah, damn you barbed arrow, you little shit. But yeah, like I can say, this level's like 60 seconds long, so at worst, you die, you lose a minute of your life, it's annoying, but it's not the end of the world, right? That's the hope, anyway. I don't want people to be rage quitting the game. That's what I don't want. I don't want it to be like Boshi or I want to be the guy or anything where it's so hard that people rage quit before they even get close to beating it. I want it so that you get frustrated maybe because obviously you die and that's annoying, but not to the point where you give up entirely. Also, the graphics are like weird and flickery because of the tile size. Eventually, what me and Lex are going to do, we're doubling the tile size of everything. So I'll zoom the camera out twice as far, but all the tiles will be 144. See, like that guy gets stuck. It'll be like 144 pixels big instead of 72, which is what it currently is. Which means I can get more definition, but also less definition, if that makes sense. So I can get more definition because the tiles are bigger, but I can get less definition because the tiles will be bigger but more blocky, so that this camera stuff doesn't happen. It's just the camera. Basically, the rendering is doing strange things. Because although Unity can do 2D games, it wasn't really designed to do 2D games. It was obviously a 3D game engine first and foremost, then they sort of put the ability to do 2D stuff after the fact. There we go. Okay. Cool. So now we've got probably my favourite level of the world. We've got 4 different paths to take. Peter's drunk. He doesn't know what he's doing. Bless him. So we've got 4 different paths we have to take. 2 blue doors, 2 red doors. And we have little dots to show which path you're in. This is path 4. They can follow you through the teleporter, by the way. They don't often, because the pathfinding tries to get them to not do that. But they can go through the teleporters, and if they do, they can come back out again. They won't get stuck. So, yeah, we have 2 paths that have arrows and 2 paths that just have platform, like I say platforming, movement, if I want to be more specific. So now I've done both red paths. Now I have to do both blue paths. I mean, if I'm being technical, isn't this a red path because it was behind a red door? But, you know, shut up. Now I'm doing another one. The ghosts are still there. They're following each other. They should also not collide with each other, which I think sometimes they do. But that's because I didn't change some of them to be the new versions of the ghosts. So that'll change. Alright, now all I've got to just get out is go back from the exit over here. Cool. Right. We're getting close to the end of the level now. Or the end of the world. This golden circle is relevant later. It shows you where the golden pellet's going to spawn, because this level's pretty big and pretty chaotic. So it's good to know where the pellets are going to spawn before you get there. This is a level where you need to get all the pellets, by the way. Oftentimes, although it's chaotic, a lot of the times the arrows will shoot each other, so you don't actually have to worry about them as obstacles. But this is much more a reaction level than a prediction level. It is the same every time, the same as all the levels, so you could learn it, but I think mostly it's too fast to learn. So you're trying to predict and react rather than learn. To me anyway, maybe I'm just crazy, but that's how it feels to me. That you'd be hard pressed to learn this. That arrow's going to kill me, so I need to go round like that. Okay. Now I should be home and dry. Cool. Good. So not too hard, like I said. None of the levels should be too hard. They're getting harder, clearly. They're harder than like World 2 and World 3 levels, but they're not super duper insano difficulty mode. So in level 66, we're in the second half of World 6, so we can see the drums have kicked back in again. I like this little corridor of fuckery, because it looks insane, but there's actually like a fairly consistent way of getting through this. So what you do is you go up until the ones that are on your level start to go away, and you follow them as they go away, and then you move up, and then you repeat. That's all you do. And the second time round it's even easier, because you have to do it twice. So I activate the switch, which I couldn't do because there was something in the way blocking me. The red door was here, if you remember, so I couldn't get through. When we do it the second time, it's even easier, because now you just have to do it like once or twice instead of a few times. Now we have to go through the transfer, where we transfer through the cave, hit the green switch, which gets rid of the other one, go through there, and now we can go down back to where we started, which now has both doors open, and we can get to the exit. Okay, there's like 3 more levels of the world, or 4 actually if we include this one. This is one of the hardest levels in the world. This is another bit of lore. Don't ask about this this Naga creature. It's not relevant. It's also not finished art, but yeah. So at some point, either the humans revered a snake-like person, like a Naga, which is like a snake humanoid, sort of like human-sized snake, or human-sized snakes actually existed in this version of the world, of the Earth, right? So it's either mythical, or it is actually based on something that's real. Now you won't know because I'm not going to explain it in this game, but it's part of the extended universe. I'm joking. Unless. Okay, right. So that level's done. Now we're in the second to last world. These guys are fucking quick, so I gave myself the ability to go very quick too. There's a few of these levels in the game where it's about speed. Like, everything is just speed. My right hand's starting to cramp up, so what I've done is... You can also use WASD to move, so now I'm using my left hand. I'm less confident with WASD than I am with the arrow keys, so you have to take me a while my right hand sort of calms down, stops being angry. All you have to do is hit the 2 switches on the sides. That's the general crux of the game. Now, if these guys... Yeah, they're going to come through the fucking middle. I knew they were. And scare the shit out of me. Stop it. Oh. Yeah. So, you have to hit the 2 switches. That's all you've got to do. You've got to hit the green one and turn it yellow. You've got to hit the red one and turn it blue. And then as soon as you do that, you can leave. Because there are no blue doors or yellow doors in the level. So... Be careful though, because you can hit them back again. Say for example I hit this switch and then flick it back. You can do that, like I just did, and it will flick it twice, which is obviously not what you want. So you want to make sure you hit it either once or 3 times. what I tend to do, is the reason why I was going down like here, is because I need to get a little bit of distance between me and the enemies. You are slightly faster than they are. Even at base speed, you are slightly quicker. So you can avoid them a little bit. Not much, but you can avoid them a little bit when you are faster than them. So you can sort of get in here, leave again. Just barely have enough time to get out as long as you don't get smacked by the Yasmin on the way out. But again, none of this is random. You can predict this. You can plan for this. You can try going left as well. There's like I said, I also like trying to give you more than one way of doing something. So you can do this instead. This is the easier way of doing it because you're at the higher path, which is... It's easier but slower. The fastest way is to do that first thing that I tried to do where you hit the switch straight away, but it's actually quite hard. Now, they could be coming through the middle, they're not, so we just leave. Okay, now we're in the second to last level. There we go. Okay, yeah, it's just not on. Right, back to the game. Okay, I must have turned it off to check something and then didn't put it back on, like a fool. But I can, like I said, I can carry on from here. It should be fine. So we're in the big maze. The camera is quite far zoomed out. It's the furthest zoomed out you ever see the game. And it's only because I wanted you to be able to see everything. I didn't want anything to be like confusing as to where you were going or what you were looking at. Because it's a maze, right? And mazes are annoying. So I put a little pellet trail that shows you the way to go, essentially. The pellet trail is the way you've got to go. It's not the way you have to go to get the... Well, it's not the way you have to go once you've finished to get the golden pellet, but it's the way that you go to beat the level in the fastest way. It's not the only way to get there. But if you want to get the golden pellet, that's how you do it. Now, I don't want to get the golden pellet, I just want to leave the level, so I'm going to try and get to the exit as fast as possible. But yeah, it's a little bit harder than it was before. Also, because I didn't start from the start, maybe the sound settings are different now, but we'll see. I think it just uses the player preferences, which should be the same, so... Yeah, so I'm going to get this far down the level. You see the guy in the top left starts to aggro. You can't avoid that if you go this way. He always aggroes you. I'm using the arrow keys again. My left hand is not doing the business. Okay, we go through this big cavern of death. Okay, now we go through here. This activates this guy. You can't avoid it either. This one's slower, so you can get through that, no problem. Now we just have to go through this. There's a gap in the middle. Because if you try and do it without all the speed, you can't make it in one go. So I put a gap in the middle to make it so you can do it. Oh, right. So now we're happy again. Good. So that's, I fixed a bug live. There you go. I had to do it because otherwise the canvas won't work. That was all that was complaining about. I didn't know what I was referencing with the canvas. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? I must have put it in one of the levels and then just forgot to do it. Right, so now this one is a level that you have to get all the things. It's the final level of the ruins. You may notice that the arrows don't spawn in the walls. They spawn a little bit out of the walls. They spawn in the tile in front of the walls. But it is consistent. It's always like that. They never spawn in front of you though, so don't think you can get away with something by being sneaky and trying to get behind where the arrow spawns. You can't. Made sure of that. Well, at least I can't. Maybe you can. I also don't want it to become like a bullet hell where there's so many bullets on screen you can't keep track of what's going on. There should be a lot. There are lots of arrows, but they're never so to me again, they're never so complicated that you can't predict or can't see what's going on. That's my thinking. That's my hope. I'm just wondering why I died in that one level, or I beat the level and then I died. It doesn't make any sense. Because your hitbox very specifically turns off, unless I forgot to do that, but... That'd be There'd be a bigger concern if that's the case, because there's loads of levels where you could die after you won if you did that. But I definitely did, so it's not a problem. I mean, I definitely did fix it so you don't take damage when you win, but something in that level went doolally, a bit wacky. But 1 out of 68, 69 levels so far isn't too bad. Okay. Alright, here we go. Going through here. And remember, to me, this is how I'm trying to gauge it. This is me who knows how all the levels are constructed before I've started. I know what the levels look like. I know how to beat them all. So the person playing it who's never seen it before, it will be a little bit longer than this, I would think, right? I don't know for certain, but I would imagine it would be, because they've not seen the levels. So they're in the learning process of the levels rather than me, which is in the just execution level of the game. My execution's not too high, but that's not really the point. Okay, so we're basically done now. That checkpoint, the purple goop bit in the corner there, gives the alien chance to catch up. That's what I put it there for. Because he goes very slowly, but if he goes through the goop, he obviously goes quicker. So it doesn't help with that I keep missing. That's fine. Yes! Alright, go through here. Now we're at the end. Now we're at the final section. This is alternating fire, so it goes, right now it goes outside every time and inside every other time. So you're safe here, then you go like this, then you go out of the level. Cool. Right. So I'm at the overworld. The game got very confused. And because I haven't beaten enough levels, I can't do anything, but I can because I can cheat and just say, oh no, I actually beat 70 levels. Which I have. So now I can do this. Locked gates are none. Perfect. Alright, so I think because I broke things, I'm going to have to go through the levels myself now, but that's not a problem because I've got the game open so I can do it nice and easily. Here we go. Right, so helps if you turn off the canvas. Bonk. There we go. Nice. So now we're in the clouds. So what you would do, you see that vine in the background, you would go out of the tower, you go up this vine that appears, it goes out of the ground, and you go up the vine, and now we're in the clouds. As we're going through the levels, maybe you noticed, maybe you didn't, there are more and more levels that have corruption in. In World 1 there are 2 levels, in World 2 there are 3, and so on and so on and so on. So now we're in World 8, there are 8 levels that have maybe 7. I think there's always... Yeah, I think it's... Yeah, we're in World 8, so it's going to be 8, I think. Levels that have corruption in it. And it's getting worse and worse. Is the general idea. And the music's getting more serious too, because it's very corrupted now. Helps if I don't do that. What are these spinning black spikes, you ask? I don't know. In my mind, this is like alien debris. So eventually it will look like debris. It's just going to be like bits of alien debris. How the fuck did I live? Hitbox porn is alive and well. I don't know how I didn't get hit. But yeah, I like this song as well. Some of the songs I don't think are very good. Like, I don't think I did a very good job, but then I'm not talented musically, so I don't know musical theory either, so I'm just sort of winging it. They're like, oh, that sounds okay, and I just go with that. But obviously you can't do that all the time. So now I just got to do the other side and then I'll be safe. So you notice they follow the same sort of pattern as Yasmin do. They go up and down in straight lines, except they also spin. That's like their unique thing. You gotta be economical with how you use your code because you don't want too many different things running in code at once because memory is precious. I think the game is like a few hundred meg, but most of that is because I use uncompressed audio. As in like WAV files, rather than anything else. It might be like 200 meg or something, I can't remember exactly, but... If you want the golden pellet, you have to go down the middle paths of dreams and fuckery, but because I don't, I just leave. See you later. These platforms are the same as the platforms in Lava World, that they follow a path and you're safe on them, except they also sometimes aren't safe. They're electrical, like, you know, thunderstorm clouds, so sometimes you are safe and sometimes you're not safe. And the time of day is getting more towards night as well. So we're like in midday now. It's very, very blue because we're in the middle of the day. Of course, I could also just leave in this level, but I want to show you the general idea of the level is you get all these speed upgrades, so you're going very, very quickly. So now getting across the level is not a problem. But if you want to beat the level quickly to do the timer, all you do is this. You just go straight across. If you can. It's a bit trickier than it looks, but it's not too hard. Like that. You see what I'm trying to do? There you go. So that's how you beat the level in 7 seconds. This is another level where you have to get all the pellets. The sky is getting a bit grey because we're heading towards nighttime. I should be able to... If this is a perfect cycle, I'd have made that jump there, but I can do the next one. It's not a big deal. Hopefully the flashes aren't too extreme. They are flashing, but I didn't try to make them too bright. So I know the brightness is also what fucks people with epilepsy up, not just the speed. So I tried to make them not too bright. Of course, if your clouds were electrifying this often, you'd have a problem. But, you know, we're in video game world, we don't have to worry about realism too much. Now just leave, just leave. Right, we introduce a new enemy here, the Bugulons, the Buggos. The Buggos are going along these vines. The only place they can go is the vines. And they're different to the other kinds of enemies that go in straight lines because these guys are safe going one way and not safe coming the other. So for example, this guy we're going to follow behind, you can see he goes underneath the vine once he's done with his journey. So we can actually use this to our advantage. Now we have to go very carefully through this little corridor fuckery because we don't want to get killed. It's the only thing like that in the entire game, so don't worry about that. They also make little scratchy noises because they're skittering along like this. Right, okay. And we're blitzing through this world because the levels are shorter. Also, you might have noticed, I didn't mention it because I didn't think it was worth mentioning, but I guess I will because I changed my mind. The camera, there's two kinds of cameras. There's a static camera like this one, where you see the whole level all the time. And then in certain worlds, there's like 3 worlds in the game, the ruins, the volcano, and the next world, you have a camera that zooms in to show parts of the levels, because the levels are too big for you to be able to see all of it at once, because you wouldn't be able to see yourself very well in those levels, right? I drowned. You see the little skull. I try not to be too violent, but I had to show that something was happening to the fleshy things that go in the corruption essentially have like the Terminator 2 effect, where the flesh melts off and, you know, it's all good. But it's a cartoon game for kids, so I didn't do any blood or gore or anything, it's just the little cartoon skull, and that's all you see. But it's not really for kids, it's for anyone, but I wanted it to be applicable for all ages, not just, you know, hardcore gamers. I want to see my snake explode into chunks. Which can be cool in its own right, but not only would it be more work, but it wouldn't be applicable to all people then, and I wouldn't like that, so we're going through the game. Yeah, we've just gone over we're on to level 77, so we've just gone over 3/4 of the way through the game now. Okay, these two are a friendly bunch. They go at the same speed no matter what you do. And you have to be pretty on the money because otherwise you'll get hit. So now we're heading into sunset time. There's only 3 more levels. You have to get all the pellets again, so it's however you want to do it, it's up to you. But again, everything is determined already, so you know. It's the same every time. You don't have to worry about learning anything, you just have to repeat what you've learned. These guys, there's a Mario Party 1 minigame with pipes, which is what I base these guys off of. You know, the thing, it's not a new concept. The bugs or the things that go down pipes and they have to follow the path and they can't help it. That's what I did that for. You just gotta not get hit by the things going the other way. Okay, so wait here, then the guy going up would be invisible, so that's fine. What you really don't want to do is die right at the end of this level because it's such a silly thing to do. Like, what you want to do is follow the guy that's going the way that will be safe when you come up to him, so that way. And then go across. And then go down the other way, so again, he'll be safe when you come back. And then just get to the end, so you just have to go the way that will be safe, which is this way. And the level. And now we're in, like, definitely getting towards night time now. So we have one big ride. This is just like a line level in Mario World. You follow the line, then you live. In the sort of darker cloud-looking ones, they are relevant, but not relevant yet. The bugs also get affected by the goop, but you notice that unlike the aliens, because these bugs are not alien, they slow down when they go in the goop. They don't die. They're clearly resilient enough not to die in the goop, but they don't go faster. They go slower because they are nature's creatures. They're not aliens, so they don't like being in the goop. That's the difference. That's my visual thing to show that they are not. They're not enemies in the sense that they're not trying to kill you. You're going on their vines. Now, I don't know any bugs that go on mystical sky vines, but here we are. So they're slower when they go on the vines. No, in the goop, sorry, not on the vines. They're fine on the vines, they just go slow in the goop. And mostly it's a contrivance so that you can actually get past them, because otherwise they'd be a bit too fast. You'd struggle to get by them. But, yeah. Okay, right, so now in the final level. This is the one level I'm concerned about for, like, epilepsy purposes, because I think it might be a bit too flashy, but hopefully it isn't. I've tried to be careful with the severity of the flashing and stuff, and make it so it's not insane. And it's not like a full screen thing, it's like a very small portion of the screen. And your eyes won't be focusing on it all the time, because you're focusing on where Willy is rather than where the lights are. That was my thinking. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm an idiot, but that was what I was thinking. So this is level 80. So after this there'll be 2 more worlds. It's unfortunate I can't show you how the music changes, but you just have to believe me that it does. Right now in the overworld you have like a harp version of the song, so it's like a slower but harp version because you're in like the heavens, so I made it like a heavenly sort of harp sounding version of the few bells in there version of the song. But yeah, you can see the corruptions everywhere now. It's not like all over the level, but lots of levels have it in. Next world will be even worse, and then the world after that it's literally in every level. Apart from one, but that one's very special. It's very important. Okay, right. Here we go. So just I'll get across this now. So first, actually to beat this level I don't have to get all the pellets, I just have to get the keys. So I'll just get the keys and leave. Let's ignore the middle part altogether. Alright, so that's world 8 done. I have to now quit the game and load level world 9. So you go from the vine, you go into those tornadoes that are at the end of the level, and you get spat out in space. I did it again. God damn it. The moon canvas is not changed back. Change it back. Change it back. There we go. Cool. Right. So this world has the speedometer because it's going to be relevant for you to be able to tell how fast you're going. Rattlesnakes, I think, read it up. There's like they can go like 12 miles an hour or something when they're in like full speed. So right now this is pretty slow. These stinky pellets slow you down, as you can tell by the speedometer, which is also why it's there, because you can tell these things with the ability of the added knowledge. But it's also, again, trying not to be intrusive with the UI. So it's just a little thing that shows you how fast you're going. That's it. It's not relevant to 2 decimal places. It's actually like a 16 float, but we don't need to go 16 decimal places. We'll just do 2 decimal places, that'll do. Maybe that's already too much, but this path is not relevant for my purposes. I'm just trying to get to the end. To do this level, all you have to do is get the 3 switches. So there are 3 switches. Red, yellow, and red, green, and blue. And the stinky pellets don't count towards your pellet count. So you don't have to worry about getting them if you want to go fast. So I've unlocked the big door. Now I just go through the big door. But these stinky pellets help slow you down. So the parts like this where it's a bit more technical, if you want to go slower, for whatever reason, the minimum speed's 1.8. You can't go slower than that. Then you can. Like for whatever reason, say I wanted to just do this to be safe. They're getting a bit more advanced as well, the enemies. They've learned how to turn on a dime. The Yasmins. Jerry's still haven't got there yet, but one day they will. So the levels are getting bigger. As you can tell, we're on the moon now. In case you hadn't noticed, we're on the moon. The levels are getting bigger. The corruption is getting worse. It's everywhere. And there are jumps. So these jump pads jump you into the space. While you're in space, you have no problem getting hit. You can't get hit. You can go over barriers. You can go over enemies. You can go over everything. You can't die while you're intangible. As soon as you hit the ground again, you are tangible again. That's just how it goes. I haven't changed the song. I've changed this song a little bit to add a few more little bells and whistles to it, but it's basically the same song. It's just a spacey sort of synthy song. Low BPM, it's like 100 BPM or something. So yeah, I don't have to get all of the pellets this time, because the jumps unlock a lot of interesting shit. It depends on your definition. You could consider it a design flaw. I consider it just a design little wrinkle. Because of the way I made the jumps, and the fact you have no hitbox when you go over said jumps. If you want to, also there's these meteors that hurt you if you touch them. You can actually jump over things you're not supposed to be able to jump over. So there are certain walls where you just essentially beat the level without even having to try, because you don't have to try. You just go over the thing and win. So like this pit here, if I can make it across the pit, which I'm not sure I can, I think I just about can. Yeah, I beat the level. So I only need 39 out of the 59 pellets to win the level. This level is the longest level in the game by far. It's 3 minutes long, but I can beat it instantly by using the same method I just told you. So knowing where the exit is, which I do, and going over towards it, there's a pit here with the lock, but why would I care about that when I can just jump over it, right? And that's what you have to do for the time limit. You notice that was too slow. What I just did was too slow. You have to head straight there, and you have to cheat instantly. And if you can do that within 14 seconds, I'm just going to show you how to do it because it's been a while since I've done it, so I'd like to get better at it. If you can cheat instantly, then you just win. So all I'm going to do is go on this platform again and then bounce straight into the goal. Ooh, unlucky, nearly. So it might be better to go this way, because there are pellets this way, right? Or maybe I can get on this bounce pad and... okay. I'm just trying to remember what I did. But yeah, you have to go very, very quick. And my thinking was, when people play the level, they'll be like, what the fuck? How the hell do you beat it in 12 seconds? Joey must have broken it. When, no, I didn't break it. I very specifically did it this way. I accidentally loaded the level. Whoops. So yeah, I beat the level. So that's 83. Now we're on to 84. Now we have a new mechanic. These are whirlwinds. Very slow moving, but they release a little particle effect that doesn't do anything, just shows you where they are. Those weirdly coloured tiles you might notice behind the walls are an example of me not fixing the hitbox. You know, I was talking about the two different kinds of tiles, the dead ones and the ones that are fine. I haven't changed the ground tiles there. Now, fortunately, all those ground tiles are actually beneath a wall anyway, so you die if you touch the wall. But you should be able to scrape across the wall without dying, but you can't if the tile underneath it also kills you. You die anywhere near the tile, you just die. So that's something I've got to fix. But that's easy to tell because the lighting makes it very clear that those ones are not fixed. So now I went a bit weird. These red tornadoes are the same tornadoes that spin normally, but they introduce the saw blade sine wave while spinning at the same time. So they have these weird, funky patterns that do repeat and are always the same, but look weird, which I kind of like. You know, there's all these walls that are behind the walls that still kill you. That's what I'm talking about. So I've put these little numbers down to tell you how many pellets are in each section. So I had 17 in the first one, 12 in this one, which means I should have 29, which I do. This pattern just looks cool, so I just left it as it was. And then we have another little centrifuge looking thing with the tornadoes. And the pellets are on each side of it, very near the end. There's only 2 tornadoes in each ring, so if you can tell where the tornadoes are, you can tell where they're gonna be. They're always exactly halfway across. Yeah, the speedo is useful just so we can see what we're doing. So these guys are the final enemy type in the game. They're like little space rock eggs. And they shoot pellets at you. So they're like cannons, except unlike cannons where they shoot bullets in a predetermined way. These guys shoot bullets at you. So the bullets very specifically aim for you. They don't hone, again, it's not like they hone in on you, they just shoot at where you were when they fired. So they shoot in the direction you were at when you were there. I could have made it so they predict where you're going to move, but again that would be much harder as a player, and I'm not interested in that particularly, so I didn't do it. But I could have done it. Be thankful I didn't, I guess. But they shoot where you were, which can still cause a bit of a complication because now you have to watch out for not only where they're shooting you from, but also where you shot from before, so don't go on the same path twice and stuff. So that unlocks the path. Now it's got to get through the corridor. Usually, as long as you stay in a straight line, they don't hit you because the pellets that would hit you collide into each other because there's 3 of them, so you're safe. The illusion of danger when there isn't any danger. You just about go quickly enough to avoid those pellets when you get all the things. So again, it implied a danger, but there isn't any. Not really. As long as you hold forward, you don't die, so... As you can see, the corruption is pretty bad. It's all over the surface of the moon. And we get a bunch of shields. This is how the shields should look, with the blue particles. It's just in the caves I forgot to do the Z layering thing, so you end up with... The blue circles are above the ground, but the particle effect is below the ground. That's all it is. It is there, you just can't see it. Source, dude, trust me, but it is. It's just not visible. So now we're already in the second half of the moon. There's only 15 levels left to go. And we're nearly done. I think I've been going for, what, 2 hours or something? So, longer than I thought already, but that's fine. I think it's the first time I've showed off all the levels in a video as well. And again, usually if you go in a straight line and you're careful, they don't shoot you. Unlike the Peters, these guys do have a de-aggro range. They will stop shooting you eventually. Unlucky. The bullet managed to penetrate my shield. But that shield lasts a very small amount of time, so I think it actually ran out. And I just couldn't tell. It, like I was like dying on the first frame after the shield ran out, so it looked like I already had the shield up and I died. I don't think that's true. Okay, cool. What my mistake was is that I didn't get all the pellets on my first time through. You need to not miss any, really. Or maybe that pellet was just shot so fast it actually went through my shield, which shouldn't happen, but I'll look into it. Okay, now, this bit's interesting and cool. They shoot loads of pellets very quickly at you. Uh-oh. I missed the thing. Please don't kill me. Okay. Whoa. Nice. And I can leave. Okay. As you can see, I've put the number 19. There are 19 pellets in this section. So here's the actual introduction to the gameplay version of these quicksand that we saw all the way back in World 3, except it's moon quicksand, so it's a bit different. These guys go in circles, and what they do is they pull you towards the center. So there's a pull force, like a magnet, that pulls you towards the middle. And the faster they spin, the more strong the pull is, as would make sense. So you can see the effect of that. You get pulled towards them. We've also got these little wobbly friendly guys who are bouncing back and forth, very cute. Yeah, and this is the level. The whole reason I developed the speedometer was for this level, because it's very useful to be able to see. I think I forgot. Yeah, that bit of ground is actually just not existent. It's very useful to be able to see where the danger is and how fast you are going. So you know that, for example, oh, I had to be about 5 miles an hour to get over that gap. So that if you lose the speed for any reason, which you might have saw the thing that lowers your speed, if you lose the speed for any reason, you can tell why it is you lost the speed. I'm going to die here. I just did a very stupid thing. I just completely ignored the whole level. Whoops. You might know, you only die if you touch the very, very middle of the ring. So the inside of this bit. You only die if you touch the darkest part. You are fine if you touch anything else. Like Mario 64. Those circular quicksands only really killed you if you went right in the middle of them. It's the same here. You can also do weird wiggles, which I quite like it. Lex doesn't like it. He thinks it looks bad, but I like being able to do the wiggles. It's my game, so suck it. No, I'm just only joking. But that is it's on purpose. Put it out there. The fact you can wiggle is on purpose. It's just a quirk of the way the game works. You know what the hardest part to code in the entire game was? Getting these fucking tail pieces to follow behind you. I co-opted parts of the code to make the enemies do it after I'd done the player bit, but getting the player bit to do it was really hard. Lex had to help me a lot. He's actually a programmer too. He's a much better programmer than I am as well, so he helps me. But yeah, so it was really difficult to get these tail pieces to follow properly. We tried loads of different methods and none of them were working. We eventually came up with a solution that probably is not very performant, but is a solution. And that was enough for me. Now, I'm missing some pellets somewhere. I know that because I've still got 11 to go and I don't know why. Now, hopefully, if I think this says 8. If this says 8, then yeah, I've got them all now. Over in that section on the left, there are 8. And there's an 8 in the ground to tell you that there's 8 there. Whether anyone's going to notice that or not, I don't know, but that was the intention. So now I can do the cool slide through the quicksand to get the rest of the things. I just like the way that looks. It's very rhythmic. And I can leave. Okay. So we're getting towards the end now. There's only 3 more levels of the world. We have big old quicksand. Obviously, a real graphic would be used that doesn't look alias to shit like this, but it was just to show the effect, the idea, as most of the things I make are, just to show the idea. So these big ones, obviously, are much stronger in terms of how they pull you in. And there are pellets on them. Why are they not getting sucked into the middle? They're glued on. That's my excuse. That's what I'm going with. They're glued on into the sand. Very tightly packed. So you can see I can barely leave the force of the pulling. You can leave eventually, you will get out, but it's hard. This is not what I wanted. It doesn't matter. As long as I'm careful. I didn't want to have to do 2 laps, because now the pellets are in the way. Right. Now we're in Super Extremo pull. I'd rather go in this teleport again than go up here, because I want to get this stuff going. Good luck doing that without a shield. So for whatever reason you mess it up, good luck is all I'm going to say. Again, only the darkest part hurts you, so I put pellets right on the edge of the darkest part, so that you have to get pretty close. But again, you are never actually really in any danger of death. As long as you don't go on these... If you go on the fast one where you haven't got any pellets, you will just be killed because you don't have enough speed to get out of the pull of the... the quicksand, and it's a very sad feeling when you get pulled in, because you're just like, oh, as it slowly goes and just sucks you in. Damn it! Need to go one more lap. Go again, a little bit further outside. There we go. Okay, so that's all of the pellets. There's 6 more to go, but they're all over here, and we have the most diddly little section ever. It's very cute. There's just these shoot extremely small bullets that will kill you if they touch you because they're still bullets. But it's designed just to look cool rather than actually hurt you, because if you're trying to just beat the level, you're in no danger whatsoever of ever actually hitting them. Right, now we have 2 more levels, and there's lasers. These lasers were cool to make. They use a shader graph and have bloom as well. So it's the only time I use like a global volume, at least right now. There probably will be more in the actual full game, but for now, this is the only time I use like the global volume stuff. I make these lasers have bloom, so they look like they glow, as lasers probably would look like they glow, especially in space. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I don't know enough about space, but that's the feeling I've got. These guys are all shooting like crazy, but they only shoot up to this point. The hardest, actually, can I still do this? Let me just try something real quick. I think I can still cheat underneath the bottom of the laser cannon and ignore the lasers altogether, which is, you know, a method. It's not the method I intended you to use, but I think it's a method. Hang on, I don't know if I still can or not. It looks a bit tight. No, I definitely can't. Okay, fair enough. I fixed it. Quote unquote. Man who doesn't remember fixing problem fixes problem. So I have to go through the lasers. Now, the lasers look hard, but they aren't really. I'm just being bad. Like that. And then the fucking bullet hit me. Damn you. But yeah, I wouldn't expect people to play the whole game in one sitting like that. Obviously, you'd be taking breaks. You can, in the full game, you can save, you can do all these different things. You can explore to your heart's content. It all does work. The saving system and everything is already implemented. I'm just not using it because I don't need to. But it's all there. There you go. See, safe. Then we have more lasers here. Do. I like the way this looks too. You can hear the sort of laser sound they make when they fire. And then I don't mess around, I start introducing new things straight away. I don't even wait for another level to introduce them. So now I've got lasers that move back and forth, which looks cool. Ow, until I get hit by one. Damn you. Yeah, this is probably the only world in the game where you don't really want to die because the levels are pretty big. So most levels are over a minute long. Lots of them are closer to 2 minutes long. The golden pellet, like I said, for that one level that you can beat in 7 seconds or 14 seconds is actually 3 minutes long. So it's pretty scary. You don't really want to die, but even then, it's not the end of the world. What the worst part is, I guess, and it's just the design in itself, is you start off so slow. So it feels like, especially once you gain some speed by getting lots of pellets, when you go back to dying and you're like dead slow again, it feels really bad just because you're slow. But I don't want to start you off really quick because then you lose the ability to control what you're doing. This is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to sort of like scoop in and out of the pellets. Don't mind those ones. Those ones are crazy. Those wacky ones. That's only for golden pellet times. That's not for anything real. That's just golden pellet times. Don't worry about that. Okay, let me introduce rotating lasers that rotate. This one rotates pretty quick. Be careful because they are ray casts. So what that means is they shoot a ray, and that ray goes instantly across the whole screen. So from one frame to the next, if the ray will hit the edge of the screen, it will hit the edge of the screen. So you can die from. Don't even talk to me. I managed to hit the cannon. The only thing that could have possibly killed me left in the level, and I managed to hit into it. Oh well. Anyway, so yeah, the cannon's laser beam is instantaneous. So the reason why they shoot out is not because I couldn't do it, but because I didn't know how to do it. I didn't have the laser like shoot out like a projectile. It just is on or off like a laser would be. Now, I think that makes more sense because lasers probably travel at the speed of light, and so would you even be able to see them with your naked eye shooting out rather than being instantly there? I don't know. But that was my thinking. The laser would almost certainly be instantaneous, rather than a charge up and then a beam that you can see, like in Star Wars or something. Surely it would just be like a fucking instantaneous death. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they know more than me. Okay, so. Oh my god. Please. That's the real kick in the teeth. And my hope is that that's not annoying because the game fucked you over, which is what I'm really trying to avoid. I don't want the game to be the one fucking you over. I want your own bad play to be fucking you over. I don't mind if you get annoyed at yourself. That's fine. I get annoyed at myself all the time. Just don't do the stupid thing, and you don't have to get annoyed. But I don't want it to be like, oh, the game is unfair. How was I supposed to know that was going to happen, or whatever? Because in my mind, again, I made it, so I'm biased. But to me, everything is telegraphed at least okay. There's nothing that's a surprise, or shouldn't be anyway. Because the screen's far enough away that you can see everything going on before you get there. God damn it. I might need to change that hitbox a little bit to be a bit more kind. Right now they're exact. So you can exactly hit the wall. So if any pixel of the snake hits any pixel of the wall, you die. But maybe I could make it a little bit more generous. Maybe. Depends how I feel. Like I said, it depends on the level. If I feel that the level is already taking too long and it shouldn't be taking as long as it takes, then I make it easier. I don't think I've ever had to make a level harder, although I could. I don't think I've ever felt, oh, like this is far too easy. If it's too easy, fair enough, that's like one of the banker levels you can put in towards getting towards 70. Because I also forgot to mention, I said you have to beat 7 levels out of every world. I didn't mean that literally. I didn't mean you have to beat 7 levels of World 1, then 7 levels of World 2, then 7 levels of World 3. You just have to beat 63 levels. So if you go through the first 6 worlds and you beat all the levels, you only have to beat 3 more and then you can beat the game. You don't have to do every single level in every single world. So if you're casually playing, but you're 100% casually playing, you could technically go to the basically the start of the ruins and then be done. You wouldn't have to do anything else in the game if you didn't want to. That's dangerous. Whoa. Okay, got away with it, but I don't know why I did that. It's very dangerous. Right, this time, don't hit the fucking thing. I know your small pea brain wants you to die, but please. There we go. Now I can leave. Right. Cool. Right, one more level. Then you're going to see blatant copyright infringement, but that's okay. It's just a placeholder. Please forgive. Please no kill. And this isn't in any of the builds you can buy or play on itch.io, so don't worry about it. I'm not going to get in trouble. Maybe. Right, so here we got this is like the escape. In my mind, all the enemies are like panicking now because we're doing too well. We're actually getting closer to where they are because we're in space. We're closer to the alien ship, right? So we jump over here. We go into definitely not the Blue Falcon snipped up into pieces. And then we leave. Definitely not. Definitely not. Okay. Then we're into World 10 now. We're on the final stretch. And you'll see levels that should look familiar. But the music's gone a bit crazier. And it's harder. So the lore reason for this, and you'll see it in the overworld, is the alien ship. The aliens are assimilating this technology. So all these versions of the songs are called like the Forest Assimilated and stuff. They're assimilating the way the place looks and the technology for whatever reason. We don't know why, but they're trying to copy the way the world looks and the way it feels, but there's something wrong about it. So they're not perfect copies. In the gameplay perspective, they're all harder than the actual versions. And there's corruption there that wasn't there before and all that stuff. But yeah, it's all just a simulation. So they're trying to copy the Earth for whatever reason, but doing bad copies. And as we go through the worlds, the copies will be getting better and better. So in the actual obviously the graphical isn't done, but right now the graphical stuff would be kind of fucked up. So the graphics would be like very alien. They look kind of wood blocks, but a lot of them would be alien blocks that aren't proper. This is probably one of my favourite assimilated songs, so I'll be quiet for a second and let you listen to it. I like that one. I don't think we're going to make it here. Yeah, you have to go pretty quick. So obviously this is also on its own difficulty curve. It's getting harder and harder and harder as you go along. But not too crazy. Yeah, in theory you can just make that before they go. Quicksand still here in full force. But the levels are, like, they are essentially the same as the other ones. But with just a few little wrinkles. Just a few differences that make them slightly harder. Right? That's another good version of the remixer. So in my opinion, I like this one too. Hopefully, although I'm not, again, musically the most talented, I hope that the urgency is coming across. Like, obviously it's a faster BPM, that's easy to do. But hopefully the urgency is coming across. Like, things are going wrong for the aliens right now. I'm here. I'm still getting progress done. And that's not good for them. Okay. Now we're in the factory. In the final game, you'll see these sorts of things in all the Saw Blade levels, so you can see the paths that they take. Obviously, it would look better than this, but it was just, again, a visual sort of proof of concept. That's why the little circular grey things are in the middle of the Saw Blades, so you can see that's like the post that they're connected to. And the post is what dictates how far along the path they can go. So it's just a visual sort of indicator. Oh, okay, I think I finally found a tile that I've not actually fixed. Let me see. If I go over here, do I die? No, I guess it was just a saw blade hitting me. Okay. So that means the saw blade's hitboxes are probably a little bit too big. Yeah, I think the saw blade hitbox is just a tiny bit big. That's fine. I'm going to go leftwards first because I think it'll be easier to do when I'm slower compared to when I'm faster. It's that middle one that's a pain in the arse because it goes so slow. Get out of there. Okay, now all we've got to do is do the easier section on the right-hand side. All without dying. And the assimilated versions, I let them be a bit shorter in the loop. Like, the loop's only like 45 seconds long or something. But there's only one level in the game where you have to hear the song, so I thought that's fair. When you have a loop that's 30 seconds long, people get frustrated, especially in like a roguelike, because you've got to hear it 100 times. In this game, you hear it once. Okay, that's a new one. Did I put a level end canvas in the level? Looks like a no. I mean, it doesn't matter. I can fix that now. But we'll go to level 96 for now. So level 95. What is here? And level... No, okay, I'll just whack one in real quick. Okay, and then in the exit block, I just need to tell it, what are we talking about? Apparently it already knew. Nani? How'd that work? Okay, fair enough, fair enough. Right, okay, cool. Level 96. Onward. Bonk. That's another good theme as well, although if you're good in the level, you'll never hear all of it. Yeah, the clones are getting better and the levels are getting harder. So instead of one wacky gun now, there's 4 of them. Still always the same, so you can learn the bullet patterns and stuff and just avoid them all. But it's much easier to try and find cover compared to actually dodging all the bullets. Getting through this bit's the hard part, and then as soon as you're through here, you're basically safe for a while, because you can just go, while this one's turning, go in here. Then avoid these bullets down here, in the corner of safety. They're all turning left for now, so we've got a pretty safe passage to the end now. Ooh. Now I'm in a ruin that's completely lit up. Again, copies are not good. The copies are getting better, but they're not perfect. So the alien sort of block looking thing would be getting less and less as we're assimilating properly. We're getting a good copy. I'm going to do it in like percentage. So like in level 1 of world 10, you're going to have like 90% alien blocks, and it's going to go down in blocks of 10% each time. So by this point, you're getting to like 30% alien technology, then it'll be 20 in the sky, then it'll be 10 in the moon. So like 1 in every 10 blocks is what I'm saying, sort of thing, will be an alien looking block. But in the forest it'll be 9 out of every 10 blocks. Look mostly alien. That's tricky. You bitches. Get out of here. I can't remember if I have to get all the pellets or not. I don't think I do. I think I can just leave. Ah. Right, yeah, I think I need to get all the pellets for the secret, like the golden pellet, obviously, but I don't think I need it to just leave. So I think as long as I can go through this path of arrows with some relative safety. Then I think I can just get out. That's what I don't want. Uh-oh. What I don't want is to come here too early, because now they're all in here with me. You're not stuck in here with me. I mean, I'm not stuck in here with you. You're stuck in here with me. That's how I feel. So what I'm actually going to do, I think, is wait down here. I might have made the level too hard as well. That's also a possibility. I did give all the aliens a bit of a speed boost, so they can get to me quicker. As long as I can get past these guys, then I can go down here. Now I can go through the corridor of justice. Now I'm fine. There we go. Now I can get out. Bye-bye. See ya. Alright. Now I'm in space. I mean, not space, the sky. And the cloud itself has become corrupted now. That big cloud wasn't there before. It's completely corrupted. It's fucked, right? Again, little shortcuts you can do if you're only interested in beating the level. You can miss that pellet on the right-hand side and just do this. Ah, you bitch. How dare you. Also, I haven't sound balanced this particularly well, so obviously these songs are louder than the other ones, because I haven't balanced them to be the same decibel limit, which should be negative 15 in Audacity. I'll do that eventually, but right now it's just a bit louder. Also, these spikes are following a repeating pattern, so from what they do is they go from left to right, then back again. So the if you look at the right hand side of the screen, you'll see it. The big ones go down the left, then they go down the middle, then they go down the right, and it's the same for all of them. They all repeat, and all do that. Keep doing that. Keep going like, oh, I'll be fine. I'm not fine. You need to go to the right hand side of that cloud straight away. I think someone with actual talent, this could just be me blowing smoke up my own arse, but I think someone with actual talent I'm going to say something nice about myself, which obviously means I must be being stupid. I think someone with a good musical knowledge could take the things that I make and make them really good. I do. I think my core idea is not horrible. It's just knowing what to do with them. Right, so we start in the box of spinny misery. But don't worry about the actual box of spinny misery because we don't actually do much with it. All we have to do is get to the end, which is actually the start. You can skip over the top of that cannon if you're clever. I wasn't clever in that moment, but like I said, be careful with the lasers because they are instantaneous. I think you can go over the top of this one too. Yeah, you can. Timing that would be pretty hard with all the fucking things as well. I can go into this one too. I really didn't fix the cannons on this bad boy. There we go. Okay. Let's get to the end. Cool. Now then. Real shit. This animation is not complete, but it's nearly complete. We fight the boss of the aliens, or at least what we think is the boss of the aliens. There we go. That one was aiming at me, so I died. Ugh. Again, that's the fist being the wrong direction. There's a few, yeah, just little niggly things I've got to fix. But Lex is on a prolonged break at the minute, trying to work on his own personal stuff and his job and stuff. So we haven't got a lot of time. Well, I haven't had a lot of time together to work on stuff like this. Because it's my game, we're basically working on it together at this point. So, because all the art stuff I can't do without him. And he has, you know, ideas about things as well, so. Excuse me. I don't think I'm safe if I stand there. The exhaust horn would hit me. Bonk. See there? I actually missed. Like I said, the quad hop is the only thing that can miss. Luckily though, I don't have to do it all in 2 goes. It just means that I have to wait for it to respawn and go again. Got time, got time, got time, got time. There you go. One more hit. Any switch will do. Bye. And he's dead. And with that, that's the end of the game. I'm not going to show you the credit secret because that's credits because that's a secret. But I'm going to end the game now. So thanks very much for watching. How long did that take? Let's actually have a look. So a casual playthrough took 3 hours for me to beat. That's decent. Yeah. Thanks for watching. See you guys then. And probably more like 2 hours 45 with all my fucking about. See you next time. Bye.